WVUE Channel 8, New Orleans.
Margaret Dubisson, Jim Marsh, Jim Bergamo, and meteorologist Bob Bradley. Newsscene 8, Nightcast.
Good evening, everyone. Pressure to begin a state lottery builds once again, and a Harvey family needs help to take the sting out of a major loss. But the big story tonight on Newsscene 8 Nightcast, yet another murder uptown tonight. It happened around 8 o'clock. Police don't know much right now, but they are telling us a Cuban man about 40 years old was found shot to death at the intersection of Magazine and Melpomeme streets. His identity is still not known. Witnesses say they heard 4 shots and then saw another Cuban man drive off in a red car, and that's all we know right now. A bomb scare sent students of a St. Bernard Votech school out into the cold tonight. A bomb squad searched the Elaine P. Nunez school in Chalmette and found nothing. The students were then allowed to return. State employees are one step closer to a pay raise tonight. The Civil Service Commission voted a 7% increase over the objections of Governor Edwards. More than 500 state workers turned out to show support for that move. They've gone nearly 4 years without an increase, even though the governor promised it when he took office. The governor claims the state of the economy has prevented any raises. President of the employees organization says it's about time, and he's pleased with today's outcome.
That's exactly what we had asked for, and it's kind of like a dream come true. You got exactly what you asked for this time. Of course, the bad part about it doesn't stop here. And our battle now is coming with the funding of that pay raise, and that's our big concern right now is the funding.
Webb is calling for the 68,000 employees to stand firm since the governor can still veto the plan. Collective bargaining, it kept striking St. John's school workers at odds with school board members during last fall's teacher walkout. And as Tom Stringfellow reports tonight, both sides still seem miles apart on an issue that may go before parish voters in just 10 days.
The forum at tonight's meeting, a panel questioning session by members of the news media who wanted to know why both sides couldn't come to terms. Collective bargaining was the main sticking point during the strike, which at 38 days was the nation's longest last year. A judge in Edgard has ruled in favor of the teachers, saying the question should be put on an upcoming ballot. The state attorney general has balked at that and is appealing the decision. School board representatives insist collective bargaining could lead teachers astray from their primary purpose, educating students.
The main question is, what is the purpose? Is it to better the position of the employees, or is it a position to in some way enhance the education system?
But teachers argue collective bargaining means contract with meaning, a contract that will boost workers' morale.
In any other job, if an employee is satisfied in the job that they are working in, they are more likely to do a better job because they are satisfied with the conditions and they are more willing and more able to give as much of 100% as they can.
Many of the people here tonight should be in Gretna tomorrow morning when an appeals court panel will hold the hearing to decide whether to put the issue of collective bargaining before the voters on January 19th. Tom Stringfellow, Newsscene 8 in Laplace.
It means big bucks in other states, and it could mean the same here. That's what area lobbyists are saying about a lottery. Today, a newly formed task force covering 4 parishes pushed the numbers game as a way to boost state revenues. Though the lottery was voted down by the legislature last year, supporters are optimistic they can win approval this year and place the lottery proposal on the November ballot. City Councilman Sidney Barthelemy is on the new committee and says the lottery could generate $30 to $35 million in city revenues. He insists the key is getting Governor Edwards' backing.
It would make a large difference, and that's why we're having a meeting with him to talk about it. I think what happened last year, there was not an organized effort. What we're trying to do is organize the effort. Have the support come from the local governments, from the local communities, not just from a lobbyist or one party that's interested in it, but from throughout the state.
Barthelemy says his task force will meet with Edwards in 2 weeks to seek his support. But if there's anyone pleading tonight for attention and for action, it's some of the folks who live in New Orleans public housing. Tonight, the first of 2 public forums on what's going to be done about maintaining and upgrading public dwellings. In a nutshell, making them better places to live. The mayor's 40-member Public Housing Committee is the latest effort to address the issues of tenants. It was easy to hear some of their concerns tonight.
Most problems are due to the fact that there are not sufficient number of personnel to work to complete the work that's necessary to meet the needs of the people.
And we could stand up here for years and years and talking about surveys, but if we don't get anything done, we'll be doing surveys forever.
As I said earlier, this is the first of 2 public forums. More citizen input is requested at the next one. That's going to be on January 16th. The powers that be in Jefferson Parish set the wheels in motion for major improvements today. A 5-year capital budget of more than $400 million was passed at today's council meeting.
Major improvements, of course, are going to be in the sewerage area, where we have the $380 million worth of improvements that we have to have online by 1988. But that's the majority of the projects. But every area of parish projects will be affected by this budget. We have improvements in
all parish services are supposed to be improved, but officials say perhaps the most important one is a $300 million sewage project. The council also raised garbage rates by $1 and gave parish employees a 2.5% pay raise. In New Orleans, the Sewerage and Water Board took steps to improve the city's drainage system. The group adopted a study that calls for nearly $430 million worth of work. Now all they have to do is come up with the money. Police continue tonight to look for the killer of 16-year-old Edwin Holland. He's the young man shot to death after he left his girlfriend's house on Annunciation Street last night. As the Forte High School student made his way home, his girlfriend heard the gunshots. Holland was shot twice. Why it happened or who did it is still not known. Henry Lee Lucas, the confessed killer from Texas, is still busy tonight here in New Orleans and elsewhere in the metro area. This is one of the scenes where 2.5 years ago, 2 people died in a fire. Lucas is confessing to as many as 35 murders in our area. He's now in the process of showing Jefferson, Orleans, and St. Charles authorities where he allegedly did them. He'll be here through the weekend. Legal proceedings against the so-called subway vigilante are on hold tonight. The Manhattan DA's office says it needs more time to prepare its case against Bernard Getz. He is the man accused of shooting 4 teenagers in a subway last month. The victims were allegedly trying to rob Getz. Thousands of people came to the man's defense following the incident. He was to have been arraigned today on charges of attempted murder. He was released last night after posting $50,000 bond. A 2-year odyssey ended today in Rhode Island as a 13-year-old California boy was reunited with his father. The boy was abducted from his home and was found in a most unusual way.
Robert Smith of Long Beach, California, had not seen his 13-year-old son Bobby in almost 2 years. Their emotional reunion at State Police headquarters might never have happened if a Rhode Island teenager had not been killed in this accident following a high-speed chase. A check of the car's registration led police to a Providence address and a man named Robert Hickox, an alias, it turned out, used by 54-year-old David Collins, a fugitive wanted for kidnapping in California. He is now charged with sexual assault and is being held without bail. Collins reportedly carried identifications of at least 6 other missing youngsters when he was arrested. Bobby Smith was found in Collins's apartment, and police say the youth told them he and his abductor lived in at least 5 states since April of 1983, and that Collins operated with more than 20 aliases. Robert Smith says he never lost faith that he would eventually find his son.
Does Dad look any different?
No.
Do you look any different?
a lot bigger, yeah.
What do you look forward to doing when you get back to California?
See my mother.
Bobby says he wants to go back to California and return to school, a place he says he's been only a couple of times since he left home with Collins, a man he had met through another child. Bob Windsor, ABC News.
Coming up, another White House shuffle is in the works. That and more next.
Coming January 18th and 19th at New Orleans UNO Lakefront Arena. Presented by Go-Go the Gorilla and Miss TNT. See 4 classes of wheelie-popping 2-wheel drive trucks and power-packed mini rods featuring a flame-throwing dragster, plus incredible super pullers, Somber Bully, the car-crunching monster 4x4, and Flash Fire, the wheel-standing fire truck. January 18th and 19th at New Orleans UNO Lakefront Arena.
Come and get it. The lowest factory-sponsored truck financing. 8.8% on any new 85 Nissan truck. 8.8 annual percentage rate to qualified buyers at participating Datsun dealers. It can save you over $600 in interest on Nissan's lowest sticker price truck. Over $1,300 depending on model and options. 8.8 is only from Nissan and only for a limited time. So get your Nissan now. They're going fast.
New Orleans, a city that offers a multitude of diverse experiences for everyone. It's a gourmet's delight with some of the nation's finest restaurants. It's a place of flowers with gardens and floral trails bursting forth in a profusion of colors. It's an architectural feast featuring unique homes ranging from modest to mansion. New Orleans, it's a family place with something for everyone.
I'm Jim Perry, and on Sale of the Century, it all begins with one question worth only $5. But don't let the small monies fool you, right, Summer?
Right, Jim, because it all ends here with a luxury convertible worth $35,000.
And the cash jackpot that stands tonight at $53,000. Altogether, more than $100,000 in cash and prizes. Will our champion Paul win it? Well, why don't you join us and we'll all find out. But I warn you, watching Sale of the Century can become a habit.
Thursday night at 6:30 here on WVUE Channel 8.
At first look, the latest national unemployment figures don't appear to be so great. The jobless figure rose 0.1% in December. Most of the increase is attributed to teenage unemployment, but economists see the creation of 340,000 new jobs during the month as a favorable sign for the economy. Also, December's jobless rate is a full percentage point below the same time 1 year ago. And predictions are that the number of jobs in the U.S. will continue to grow. President Reagan takes pleasure in the fact that a record number of Americans now hold jobs. He said so tonight in a televised news conference.
The president began with praise for his Secretary of State, who gave up little and got a lot in getting the Soviets to agree to new arms negotiations.
Our objective in these talks will be the reduction of nuclear arms and the strengthening of strategic stability.
Mr. Reagan brushed aside calls for big cuts in defense spending, but seemed to reverse his earlier opposition to changes in Social Security benefits. If Congress enacted a freeze or cuts, it might be different.
I would have to look at that situation and what I was faced with regard to a possible congressional mandate.
A question about harm from criminals focused on the New York City man who shot 4 alleged muggers in a subway tunnel.
In general, I think we all can understand the frustration of people who are constantly threatened by crime and feel that law and order is not particularly protecting them. On the other hand, I think we all realize there is a breakdown of civilization if people start taking the law in their own hands.
Mr. Reagan ducked a questioner who asked him if he'd ride the New York subway. He said security wouldn't let him. Bill Greenwood, ABC News at the White House.
And there's word of yet another change in the Reagan White House roster tonight. A Reagan administration source says Energy Secretary Donald Hodel has been chosen to succeed William Clark as Secretary of the Interior. The switch is supposed to be officially announced tomorrow. A flash fire killed 25 people today at a home for the aged in France. Scores of elderly patients were forced to evacuate the building in sub-zero weather. The cold may have contributed to that fire. Authorities believe a burst water pipe may have caused an electrical short circuit, and that may have sparked the blaze. Fire took its toll a little closer to home last week, and tonight action reporter Steve Lazinovich tells us how we can help.
The sign simply says, "For sale." Frances Mayhew was renting this small house for a few months while her landlord looked for a buyer. Now it's likely the for sale sign will remain here for a few more months. For Frances Mayhew no longer has a place to live. And neither do 11-year-old Kenneth, 10-year-old Francine, 6-year-old Ken, or any of Frances's 4 other children. Their house caught fire on Friday morning.
They called me at the Votech school I had taken my other little girl to, and they told us on the phone that the house was on fire, and then me and my daughter ran home. You know, when I got here, it was all gone, the whole thing.
Everything was burned?
Everything. It was completely gone, the whole thing, all gone.
No clothes?
No clothes, nothing like that was in there. All that was gone, every bit of the clothes, the whole thing.
The fire would have been tragic enough if it changed only one life. But there are 7 other lives affected by what happened here only 5 days ago. Did you lose everything?
Yeah.
everything is gone?
Yes.
What did you get for Christmas?
Cabbage Patch shoes, a headphone radio, and I forgot.
It won't be easy, though, for Francine and the other children to forget the emotional strain they're under, or the financial strain their mother faces, just to bring their lives back to normal.
At this point, I'm just hoping and praying that things will work out. I really don't know at this point, you know. I don't know, you know, how I'm going to go about handling this.
But you can't give up hope, huh?
No, I can't do that. I got to keep hoping, praying for something to happen, you know.
Steve Ozenovich, Newsscene 8.
Count them, 3 losses for local college basketball teams. Tonight, Jim Bergamo's next with the sad details.
A coat of paint works wonders. You can cover your mistakes. At Helm Paint and Supply, we've got what it takes. We'll steer you right. Yes, sir. We'll steer you right. Make it easy on yourself. All you need is on our shelves. Helm Paint. Helm Paint. Let us steer you right. Helm Paint and Supply. It all starts here.
The price, the service, the satisfaction at Benson & Gold Chevrolet.
And look what Benson & Gold is doing to kick off the new year. Right now, the car or truck you're driving is worth $2,500. That's right, a minimum of $2,500 trade toward any Chevy pickup on our lot. We've got the trucks, and you've got the $2,500 trade-in.
It all starts here. At Benson & Gold Chevrolet, 2600 Veterans Highway, Kenner. This week, Holmes dramatically lowers the cost of being beautiful. To bathe you in bargains by Ben Andre, Vitabath, and Guy Laroche. To pamper you with Anais, Chloe, and Germaine Montet at low, low prices. This is your chance to treat yourself to the skincare magic of Elizabeth Arden, Ultimate 2, Oscar de la Renta, Lancome. To the fragrances of Shalimar, White Shoulders, Halston, and much, much more. Because the savings are simply beautiful this week at Holmes.
Here's Jim Bergamo to tell us, I don't think there's enough crying towels to go around for anybody.
Let's mark this date down. What is it, the 9th?
Yeah, January 9th.
Bad day for local basketball teams.
Ooh.
Somebody should have knocked this one off the schedule. We'll remember it next year. We'll start off the bad news with LSU. You know, after watching the Tigers tonight, I can understand why they weren't ranked in the latest AP poll. LSU was at its sleepwalking best tonight in Tuscaloosa as Alabama pinned a 12-point loss on the Tigers, 79-67. Tigers opened the scoring. Derek Taylor gets the benefit of a rather kind bounce, but remember, friends, this is in Alabama, and the kind bounces went their way, too. Buck Johnson with the prayer, which gets answered right here. You can count it, and he's fouled. Jerry Reynolds at the free throw line. Nikita Wilson puts it in to give LSU a 3-point lead. LSU goes up by 7. Nice feed from Dennis Brown to Jerry Reynolds for the slam. But in the second half, Alabama blows it open. Bobby Lee Hurt lives up to his name, hurts the Tigers with that one. Then Darrell Neal bombs from the outside to put the Tide up by 10. Derek Taylor tried to keep the Tigers in it, but in the end, this play really sums up the ball game. Alabama misses the front end of a 1-and-1. They get the rebound. LSU gets it back. They lose it again, and Alabama's free for the garbage basket, and they lose it. They beat LSU 79-67. LSU is now 3-2 in the Southeastern Conference, 2 games behind Kentucky and Mississippi State, which both won tonight. Now, Tulane has never beaten Louisville in Louisville, and they didn't tonight. The Green Wave had their chances to break that losing streak against the Cardinals, but it did not happen in Louisville tonight. Tulane jumps out with this bucket by David Dominique, but Jeff Hall had the hot hand for the Cardinals. His 20-footer is going to make it a 6-6 ball game. John Williams fights hard for this basket. It puts Tulane up 21-14. Jeff Hall counters. Tulane had increased that lead to 13 points. That was a 7-point lead. Then Hall in the second half makes it 48-47 Louisville. David Dominique again to bring Tulane within 1. Then John Hot Rod Williams goes to the foul line. He hits the first of the 1-and-1, which ties it, then cans the second one to put the Greenies on top. Louisville comes back with the bucket, but Tulane has a chance to win it here. However, the try falls short. Louisville takes the close contest 52-51, another heartbreaker for Ned Fowler's boys. The UNO Privateers were also on the road tonight, and the Privateers were in San Antonio for a date with the Roadrunners. The UNO also comes up losers 54-60. UNO loses to UT San Antonio. Quick look at the top 20 scoreboard. Second-ranked Duke, a winner over East Carolina. Fourth-ranked SMU defeats Baylor rather easily. Fifth-ranked North Carolina just does beat Maryland. Sixth-ranked Memphis State over Tennessee State. Tulsa in a track meet over 8th-ranked Oklahoma, 104-89. And in the second half, 20th-ranked Oregon State leads Oregon by 3. Well, in football news, negotiators for the John Mecum Corporation and the A.N. Pritzker family met today in Chicago for the first of what is to be serious negotiating sessions regarding the sale of the Saints. The two sides met all day today, and they'll now go back and discuss things with the big boys and then meet again. A date for the next meeting has not yet been set. For the second year in a row, track star Carl Lewis has been named the Male Athlete of the Year by the Associated Press. Lewis becomes only the third athlete to win that honor 2 consecutive years. Lewis stole the show in track and field in the Summer Games in Los Angeles when he tied Jesse Owens' Olympic mark of 4 gold medals. And just yesterday, another Olympic star, gymnast Mary Lou Retton, was named the AP's Female Athlete of the Year. And today, the Olympic Committee announced that Retton and male gymnast Peter Vidmar will perform an exhibition at the 11th Annual Mardi Gras Invitational Gymnastics Meet in Baton Rouge, which will be held next month. You know, next week, several professional state boxing titles will be up for grabs in Lafayette, and Ken Strayhorn takes a look at the only local fighter who will take part in that competition.
One look around the gym, and it's easy to see the activity in progress. All these fighters would like to be champions of the world. Among them is William Clayton. He's called Bumpsy by the boys in the gym, and he's been through the wars. The 147-pounder is a 3-time state Golden Glove champ. He's taken the Louisiana AAU title twice, and as an amateur was beaten only 14 times in 187 fights. Next week he goes for the state welterweight crown as a professional. In Lafayette, Roman George will provide the competition. I talked to William about his challenger.
I've seen him fight many times in the amateur. We come up in the amateurs together, and since he's been pro, I know he's 12-0. And that's as much as I know about him. You know, he's a good boxer. He's ranked #1 in the United States when he fought in amateurs.
In any profession, getting to the top takes hard work and dedication. In boxing, add to that intestinal fortitude. Can you imagine having to go to work and literally having to fight for your job each day? You might ask, why would anyone want to put themselves through that?
It's just something I like to do. You know, it's like the competition. I like it. I love it.
Bumpsy Clayton was first introduced to boxing by a friend. In Orleans Parish, he's been a deputy sheriff for over 5 years. He's been fighting for 16 and knows a title as a pro is difficult, but it can help with some of the finances at home. Ken Strayhorn, Newsscene 8 Sports.
All right, thanks very much, Ken. A quick look at our salooner table says if you want to fish, do so overnight about 1:40, near 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, and just after 2 tomorrow afternoon. And the PGA Tour got underway today. I'll have more on that when we come back.
When your prescription records are needed in an emergency, Walgreens Intercom card could save your life. When you need a record of prescription expenses for insurance or taxes, Walgreens Intercom can save you money. When you need a refill but don't have your prescription vial or number, Walgreens Intercom is all you need. It's professional pharmacy service at its best. Pick up your free card with your next prescription at Walgreens.
Wow, what's all this stuff?
Stuff I found in the classified section of the Times-Picayune State's item.
Wow, slow down.
But there's so much to see. Furniture, appliances, antiques, anything that can be bought or sold.
Wow, looks like the Times-Picayune State's item classifieds have everything but the... Make that everything.
Anything and everything can be found every day. Keep up with the classified section of the Times-Picayune State's item.
Go away and the weeds take over. Oh, it is so good to be home. Tell you, while I was away, all I could get was this warm water that they called coffee. You know, I really missed my Community New Orleans blend. It's got a richer taste and a touch of chicory. Yeah, it's fun to travel because it really makes me appreciate home. Community New Orleans blend. That's what I call coffee.
Well, the 1985 Pro Golfers Tour got underway today, and the first stop is the Bob Hope Desert Classic in Palm Springs, California. And after one round, you can see there's a four-way tie for the lead. Craig Stadler, Doug Toole, John Mahaffey, and Gil Morgan all card at 6 under 66s today. 7 golfers share the second spot, just 1 stroke back. Bad news, as you say, not enough crying towels for LSU, Tulane, and UNO.
They'll bounce back. A long season
bounce
yet to go.
Back? I like that.
Meteorologist Bob Breck says he's got something for everyone. He'll explain next.
Perk Carpet and Drapery warm up your house this winter with color. In carpet, hundreds of hues. In drapery, prints galore at Perk. In ceramic tile, you pick the pattern. In wallpaper, area rugs, wood floors, and vinyl at all 3 Perk stores. Let us put color into your home during the annual store-wide sale when our prices are the lowest of the year. From ceiling to floor, it's living color.